Tom Cruise hates the Golden Globes and returned his 3 Golden Globes awards back to the Hollywood foreign press. Blake Lively and Justin Bologna are boycotting the Golden Globes this year to try and avoid being made fun of by Nikki Glaser, who will be the first solo female host of the Golden Globes. This also included Ryan Reynolds. He will not be attending the award show, even though he is eligible to win an award. There might be a lot of winners of the Golden Globes who are not in attendance. Brendan Fraser is boycotting the Golden Globes this year. Back in 2018, actor Brendan Fraser publicly accused Philip Burke, a former president of the Hollywood Foreign Press Association, of groping him at a luncheon. Fraser described the incident to GQ magazine, stating that Philip Burke inappropriately touched him during the event. He described feeling ill and like a little kid after the incident, and that it significantly impacted his career and confidence. The HFPA conducted an internal investigation and concluded that while Burke inappropriately touched Fraser, it was intended to be taken as a joke and there was nothing wrong, so nothing was ever done about the incident. Philip Burke has denied Fraser's accusations, calling them a total fabrication. In his 2014 memoir, he admitted to having pinched Fraser's butt. Tom Cruise. He was a winner of 3 Golden Globes. I say the word was because Tom Cruise gave back the awards. In 2021, Tom Cruise returned his 3 Golden Globe awards to the Hollywood Foreign Press Association. This action was a direct response to the intense criticism and controversy surrounding the Hollywood Foreign Press Association at the time. But things didn't get resolved, so Tom Cruise will continue to boycott the Golden Globes. Tom Cruise has talked about the lack of diversity. The Hollywood Foreign Press Association faced significant backlash over the complete absence of Black members within its voting body. This lack of representation raised serious concerns about the organization's ability to fairly and accurately assess films and television shows that feature diverse casts and storylines. There has been an industry-wide backlash. The controversy sparked widespread condemnation from actors, filmmakers, and other industry professionals. Many called for significant reforms within the Hollywood Foreign Press Association. Nicolas Cage. He also returned his Golden Globe Award in protest of the Hollywood Foreign Press Association's lack of diversity. Hugh Jackman, who is up for an award for the movie Deadpool and Wolverine, he won't be attending. Nikki Glaser admitted she's a bit worried about facing online backlash in her role as Golden Globes host. Usually the opening monologue is the most controversial part of the show, so let's find out what if she gets called for her inappropriate humor. Also, let's see who is offended by her. Joy Coy hosted last year's award show and people hated it. Many viewers and critics felt his opening monologue was uninspired, awkward, and fell flat. Jokes that were intended to be humorous often landed with silence or uncomfortable laughter from the audience. It felt very awkward. A Diddy freak-off mention is what started the Golden Globes tonight. Ain't no party like a Diddy party. Nikki Glaser might be canceled and banned from the Oscars after her Diddy jokes during her opening monologue went too far. Nikki Glaser said, "Zendaya, you were incredible in Dune. I woke up for all of your scenes. And Challengers? That was more sexually charged than Diddy's credit card. The after party is not going to be as good this year." And you would think Nikki Glaser would stop there, right? Nope. Nikki Glaser said, seriously, I'm upset too. The after party isn't going to be as good this year, but we have to move on. A Stanley Tucci freak-off doesn't have the same ring to it. The camera then pans to him, and he was just cringing really badly. He is super embarrassed, and I'm sure doesn't want to be on TV while Nikki is talking about Diddy. That was super uncomfortable to watch because it's like, do we laugh or do we cringe at all the Diddy jokes? Should she have just avoided that controversial topic altogether? There are victims in that legal cause. Just a side note, make sure you guys stay till the end of this video because I do share some more cringeworthy Nikki Glaser jokes. Again, you would think Nikki Glaser would stop there. She's gone this far, may as well go the distance. Nikki then said, "No baby oil this year, just lots of olive oil." Do you guys think she went too far? Well, of course the cameras panned to the crowd, and everyone was actually laughing at that one. This was the 82nd annual Golden Globes in Los Angeles. 33-year-old comedian Nikki Glaser, renowned for her darkly comedic and often provocative style, delivered a sharp opening monologue. Her biting commentary touched upon a diverse range of subjects, including the significance of voting, the ongoing scrutiny of sexual misconduct within Hollywood, and, with characteristic wit, she playfully observed the ever-changing facial hair choices of actor Timothée Chalamet. So I guess we should have known what to expect. As a viewer, we were at the edge of our seats because we didn't know if she was going to bring up Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni. Now that is a sensitive subject, and it is still developing and ongoing. Both of them didn't show up to the Golden Globes. They both probably feared of running into each other. How awkward would that be? And also, if they were in attendance, I am sure Nikki Glaser wouldn't be able to hold back. She is really good at improv, so I am sure she would try and sneak one in. I wonder if the Golden Globes has a delay and can live cut things. But then again, why not cut out the Diddy jokes? Maybe the Golden Globes needs those TV ratings, so they probably thought this would be a topic to get people talking about what happened at the Golden Globes. A few more jokes Nikki Glaser shared during her opening monologue. Glaser saved her most pointed bit for last, predicting that it would be a memorable night because 5 years from now, people would be watching clips on YouTube, spot someone in the crowd, and think, "Oh my God, that was before they caught that guy." "We could be making history tonight and we don't even know with who," she said. "He knows. Or she. It could be a woman." I think 100% of the time it's a man, but it could be a woman. Won't be? It never is. Kind of like Best Director. Kathy Bates' health concerns emerge while trying to present an award at the 2025 Golden Globes. Let me read some news headlines. Daily Mail. Frail Kathy Bates, 76, sparks concern presenting at Golden Globes 2025 amid Ozempic weight loss. The Mirror US, Kathy Bates. Health fears emerge as fans ask, is she okay after Golden Globes appearance? People.com, Kathy Bates turns heads on 2025. Golden Globes red carpet 4 months after debuting 100-pound weight loss. 80 pounds of the weight loss came with her healthier lifestyle. An additional 20 pounds came after using Ozempic. During an interview with People, she said, and I quote, "But I have to impress upon people out there that this was hard work for me, especially during the pandemic. It's very hard to say you've had enough." She was inspired to put her health first after being diagnosed with type 2 diabetes back in 2017. Kathy Bates had a lot of viewers worried. I see so many tweets being concerned for her, while we all watched her try and present at the 2025 Golden Globes on Sunday amid her drastic Ozempic weight loss. Anthony Ramos, known for his role in Twisters, presented the Best Supporting Actress with Kathy Bates. They announced the TV award to Jessica Gunning for her performance in Baby Reindeer. Kathy Bates has spoken publicly about her weight loss journey, acknowledging that she has used medications like Ozempic as part of her approach. At least she was willing to say publicly how she's lost so much weight. Kathy Bates is 76 years old, which I thought she looked great for someone of that age, but I do understand all of the concerns people would have about her. She was holding onto Anthony Ramos pretty tightly. Also, I noticed she was shaking pretty badly. Not sure if these are side effects of what's taken, or just Kathy Bates being 76 years old. People have speculated that she is sick and might be suffering from something, but these are just all speculations. What are your thoughts about Kathy Bates? Did you guys watch the Golden Globes? Nikki Glaser opened the 82nd Golden Globes with a provocative monologue, highlighting the prominence of weight loss medications like Ozempic in Hollywood. She also delivered risque jokes targeting actors Glenn Powell and Ben Affleck. While her humor may have been considered edgy by some, it aligns with her signature style of sharp, often controversial comedy. Glaser previously showcased her roasting skills at the Tom Brady roast, where she was widely praised for her wit. At the Globes, she continued this trend, taking aim at Hollywood figures, the incoming president, and music mogul Diddy. Nikki Glaser made a humorous observation about Nicole Kidman's prolific work schedule last year, suggesting it might have been a strategic attempt to escape the constant sound of her husband Keith Urban's guitar playing. The couple, known for their affectionate public appearances, seemed to enjoy the joke, laughing along with the audience. It undoubtedly requires significant courage to deliver jokes about individuals who are present in the audience, especially when facing the possibility of an unfavorable reaction. The prospect of encountering silence or witnessing discomfort can be quite daunting for any comedian. Nikki Glaser and Cate Blanchett among worst-dressed celebrities. Nikki Glaser rocked a flowy brown silk dress with a rose and a touch of orange tan. Her face in this picture is looking stressed out. She will be hosting this year's award show, and she might be super nervous. Comedian Ali Wong's red strapless dress with fringe and long black gloves was considered by some to be an over-the-top fashion choice. I wouldn't say this would be my first choice of dresses to wear. Daniel Craig showed up to the red carpet. He looks like he should head to the airport and fly a plane. Kylie Cuoco, who looks like she doesn't even want to be there, embraced a winter wonderland theme in a white dress adorned with fur trim. David Fisher. What in the world was he thinking? He just said blue for everything, please. I might be wearing a tie and a shirt, but who knows because it just all blends together. Surprised he didn't go with blue shoes as well. Model Heidi Klum made a bold fashion statement in an unexpected emerald green gown. The sheer fabric revealed glimpses of skin through cutouts strategically placed at the bust and stomach. Cate Blanchett recycled a striking gold Louis Vuitton gown with a boxy top and an unfinished hem, originally worn at the 2024 Cannes Film Festival for the Golden Globes. Not sure if wearing the dress for a second time is paying off. Adam and Jackie Sandler made it out to the red carpet, and what's shocking is the fact Adam Sandler is actually dressed up. He probably can't wait to get home and put on shorts and a baggy t-shirt. Ella Fanning exuded elegance in an opulent nude silk dress adorned with a captivating sequined cheetah print bustier, creating a striking contrast of textures and patterns. Payal Kapadia showed up, and we don't know where her legs start and end. It's just blackness, I see. She might be wearing a scarf as well, not too sure what that red thing is around her neck. Few big questions that will be answered at tonight's award show. Will Nikki Glaser make mentions about Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni? And how would the audience take it? Who are the biggest winners of the night? How will the Golden Globes address any lingering controversies? Lack of diversity? The HFPA, Hollywood Foreign Press Association, faced intense scrutiny for its lack of black members and allegations of systemic racism. The show will likely acknowledge these past criticisms, potentially through opening remarks or a segment highlighting the changes implemented. Ethical conduct. Concerns were raised about ethical violations, including potential bribery and questionable financial practices. The show may indirectly address these concerns by showcasing the reforms undertaken to ensure transparency and ethical conduct within the organization. Will any poignant or memorable speeches be delivered? Anticipating powerful or emotional acceptance speeches. Will any major upsets occur? Surprising wins in key categories? Will Timothée Chalamet win his first Globe? How will Wicked do at the award show? The movie was a smash hit at the box office. How will Nikki Glaser fare as host? What will be the most talked about fashion moments? Nikki Glaser Diddy jokes sparks controversy at 2025 Golden Globes during her opening monologue. Nikki Glaser kicked off the 82nd Golden Globes by saying that the evening was Ozempic's biggest night. She also made X-rated jokes about Glenn Powell and Ben Affleck. This was for sure a risky move for Nikki Glaser, but this is what she is known for. I thought she was the best roaster at the Tom Brady roast. Nikki Glaser roasts Hollywood, makes fun of the president who is about to take office. Diddy? Glaser joked that Nicole Kidman's numerous film projects last year might have been a strategic move to escape the constant strumming of her husband, Keith Urban's guitar. It's always nice to see Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban together. They always look so happy, and they laughed so much at that Nikki joke. It must be very nerve-wracking knowing you're telling a joke about someone to a large audience, and that person is sitting right in front of you. Imagine they don't laugh or they cringe at a bad joke you just told. Nikki continued on with her monologue. She said, "Zendaya is here. Zendaya, you were incredible in Dune 2. Oh my God, I woke up for all of your scenes. You were so good. And Challengers, girl? It was so good. I mean, that movie was more sexually charged than Diddy's credit card. I wonder if the Golden Globes has to approve of the opening monologue. Because listen to this next line Nikki says. Oh, I'm upset too. The after party is not going to be good this year. But we have to move on. A Stanley Tucci freak-off just doesn't have the same ring to it. No baby oil this year, just lots of olive oil." Nikki went on to say, "So, tonight, we celebrate the best of film and hold a space for television," she said. Yes, Wicked, Queer, Night Bitch. These are not just words Ben Affleck yells after he orgasms. These are some of the incredible movies nominated tonight. Nikki, I felt, did a much better job than last year's host Joe Coy, who absolutely bombed in his opening monologue. 2024 Golden Globes might actually be the worst opening monologue ever in the history of the show that has been around for 82 years. He is number 82 on that list for Best Golden Globes Host. Many found the jokes to be unfunny, awkward, and even offensive in some cases. Some jokes were seen as outdated, sexist, or simply not landing with the audience. This is kinda weird to say because Joe Coy is actually a comedian. But I bet he couldn't do bookings anymore after this disaster. The camera went to the celebrities' faces at the show, and no one was laughing. It was a very uncomfortable delivery. Coy's delivery was described as stiff and uncomfortable by some viewers. He seemed to struggle to connect with the audience, and the energy felt forced. Nikki Glaser actually makes history this year. The stand-up comedian is officially the first woman to host the Globes in its 82-year history. It's crazy to think it took 82 years for a female to host the Golden Globes on her own. How do you guys think she did? One of my favorite celebrities who attended is Adam Sandler. He actually dressed up for the show. Nikki Glaser just did an Adam Sandler impression of Timothée Chalamet's name, and then got Adam Sandler to join in. Adam Sandler is always down to join in on the jokes. He is one of the funniest comedians ever and is so personable.
Selena Gomez was spotted gossiping about something with her best friend Taylor Swift and Kylie Sperry. Of course, this made the internet go crazy, and lip readers hopped right on it, and mutually agreed that Selena told the girls that she asked Timothée Chalamet for a photo, and Kylie Jenner said no. This is what got Selena so heated and why she was livid after her interaction with Kylie Jenner. But that's just the beginning of it. To get a proper look at the situation, let's take into account everything that happened that night. Selena was there because she was an actress of one of the TV shows that was nominated, and Taylor was there as support for a few of her friends, including Selena as well as Emma Stone. Timothée and Kylie showed up fashionably late because the Jenner family does have a flair for the theatrics, and they made no effort to hide their PDA, holding hands and stealing quick kisses in between commercial breaks. But during these sweet moments, there was a few tense ones too, like when Selena approached Timothée and asked him to take a photo, since he's becoming a fairly big name in acting now. But before he had the chance to respond, Kylie stepped in and said no, absolutely not. This was when Selena, taken aback, went back to her table and shared this gossip. But what led to that very abrupt and seemingly controlling reaction? We have to take a deeper look into Kylie and Selena's relationship. Their relationship is long, rocky, and complicated, to say the very least. There was a point in time where they were friends, but that was back between 2014 to 2018. In 2014, they were spotted attending Coachella together, which is a very huge deal in the Hollywood world. They were civil after that, and in 2018, they were spotted posing together for a photo at the Met Gala and looked happy enough. There was no other news between them since, or nothing extremely noteworthy, that is. But after the way Kylie reacted, people are wondering if they were ever actually friends or if they were just playing civil for the camera because they didn't want any drama. But when things started to get heated between Hailey Bieber and Selena, this was when Kylie chose her side. Apparently, there was a rumor that Hailey and Kylie were mocking Selena's freshly laminated brows in a video they posted on social media. They were also on FaceTime while they were talking about it, but they denied this claim. However, this isn't the first time Hailey has copied Selena either, and was called out for it. She was often seen wearing similar outfits, saying similar things, and using almost the exact same lingo and sayings. Not to mention, she married Selena's ex-boyfriend of 8 years, Justin Bieber. So maybe she was just trying to be her for Justin? Who really knows why grown women copy each other? So this is where the feud began, since Selena called out Hailey and Kylie got herself involved by defending her, but they both agreed there was no actual beef between them. Even if their reactions spoke otherwise, people can be shady. Well, the rift continued to get worse when Kylie started dating Timothée. They started dating in early 2023, but Selena and Timothée were friends before this. They worked on a movie together in 2019 and were good on a mutual level. In 2020, they were on Instagram Live together and seemed like good friends. And then he even said that Selena should run for president in 2024 as a joke. So in 3 years, what's changed? What made their friendship dissipate? One word: Kylie. As I mentioned before, Kylie and Timothée started dating in early 2023, but knew each other before that. Apparently, they met at a fashion event in Paris, the city of love, obviously. And as iconic as that is, fans believe that's what put the stake between Selena and Timothée, since Kylie didn't really like the idea of her in the first place. Of course, we don't know for sure if that's a fact, but it's an interesting thing to theorize about. Because of this, that's why Kylie told Selena no when she asked Timothée for a photo. But it could also be Kylie's insecurity. Makeup and modeling can only hide so much, and it's not enough to block out the past. Kylie was in a mostly long-term relationship with Travis Scott, who's the father of her 2 kids, and is no longer very present in their lives. They had a very rocky relationship, considering he couldn't stay loyal to her and cheated on her with multiple people, and ended up deciding he really didn't want to be a present father figure. But that's not where her messy relationship history starts. While Keeping Up with the Kardashians was still running, she was in a very public relationship with Tyga, which included luxury gifts and an on and off again situation. And after 3 years, they called it off. However, it didn't take Kylie long to move on from this, and that's when she started dating Travis. And they promptly had Stormi together. Then right after that, she posed on the cover of Playboy. Weird turn, but good for her. They welcomed a son together as well before he left for the last time, and fans still believe their relationship isn't quite over. So you can't blame Kylie for having a little bit of relationship anxiety. But the fact that she still remained with that much anxiety in her first healthy relationship is rather unfortunate. It isn't exactly her place to deny Timothy's photos, especially one with someone he was friends with before her. We also know that Selena is also taken now, happily as far as we know. She and Benny Blanco have been dating for around 6 months now, and kept it a secret from the world so they could figure out what they wanted before they told the world. They soft launched a couple of months ago, and it sent the internet into a whirlwind of excitement and hate. So there's no doubt that Kylie caught wind of her happy relationship, and yet she's still that protective over Timothy. The real motives behind Kylie's reaction and Selena's whispering to her friends and their feud, it's all up in the air, and is still being figured out. Starting off our list, we have how Joe Coy was described as the worst host ever. Now, Joe Coy is supposed to be a comedian, which means he's supposed to be funny, but he had the crowd pity laughing because his bits turned into more of a monologue, and people were less than impressed. He claimed he only got the gig 10 days before the event, so if they wanted him to be a perfect host, they should just shut up. Isn't it your whole job to be able to make and write jokes that are funny? No one expects perfection, but it could have at least been polished. Fans were blasting him on social media about his comments on Robert De Niro as well, because Joe said that he was sorry that he was a fan of his. And the fact that Robert De Niro got his 29-year-old girlfriend pregnant was his best performance yet, considering he's 80. While it did make the crowd laugh, his jokes came off as abrasive rather than funny. Which brings me to my next point. Joe Coy's jokes about Taylor Swift. One of the more abrasive jokes he made was about Taylor Swift, and we know how well those jokes go over. Well, the joke in question was that the difference between the Golden Globes and an NFL game was that there was less coverage of Taylor Swift. Some people gasped and other people chuckled, but Taylor did not appreciate it. She didn't even crack a smile. She just pursed her lips, took a sip of her drink, and glared at him with pure malice. The fact that she was just there for attendance made it worse because she was there with her friends, notably Selena Gomez, who we'll talk more about later. But he went out of his way to call her out and felt the wrath of Swift fans. Which brings us to the next point, about how Joe Coy was backpedaling on the joke. After his hosting, Twitter went a little haywire. Fans were saying things like how he just walked on set and said, "I'm hosting," and no one did a background check to make sure that was a good idea. And that the audience was pity laughing because of his Barbie jokes, and it was more than obvious he missed the point of the movie. That and his monologue was just plain awful. But when fans got to the Swift jokes, he began backpedaling, trying to defend himself, saying that Taylor and Travis's relationship is cute. There just happened to be fewer cutaways. He then said, maybe she was just thirsty, maybe she just needed a drink and it was weird timing. No man, your joke wasn't funny and she didn't appreciate that. She's made it clear she was only at the games to support Travis, and she isn't worried about pissing off other fans, because she's just there for him, not for them. Following that up, we have Timothée Chalamet and Kylie Jenner's appearance. To wrap my head around the fact that Timothée Chalamet is dating Kylie Jenner is already a hard one to picture, considering he looks 14 but he's really 28 and she's 26 but she looks 30. But because he was nominated, no one was really surprised he brought his girlfriend as a date. However, in classic Hollywood fashion, they showed up late, but they were adorable all the same. They were wearing a matching black sequin outfits and were displaying a good amount of PDA throughout the ceremony, and were caught being absolutely smitten with one another. While it's adorable, it caused a little bit of tension, which brings me to the next point, about Kylie's protective energy. Of Of course, you can't blame Kylie for being protective, but when Selena Gomez asked Timothy for a photo because you know he's a famous actor, Kylie stepped in and said no. Selena took that back to the table and shared this with Taylor Swift, who she is really good friends with, like I mentioned before. But this isn't as surface level as Kylie being protective. It goes as far back as Selena's beef with Hailey Bieber. Taylor and Selena are besties, and Hailey and Kylie were besties. So obviously there's still some residual hate from Kylie towards Selena because of the incident that happened over the previous years. But you'd think she'd feel safe enough in their relationship that she wouldn't mind letting him take photos with fans. The whole thing seemed to have an off vibe to it, but it was embarrassing that Kylie had her insecurities outed like that. Next on the list, we have how Barbie was practically ignored despite winning. Now, Barbie was a smash at the box office, making $155 million on opening weekend alone, but aside from the jokes, it was relatively ignored throughout the ceremony. Now, that's not saying they didn't win. Billie Eilish won an award for the best song in a movie, while 2 other songs from the movie were nominated as well, and the movie itself won a cinematic and box office achievement. But the movie was nominated for a good chunk of the categories. Considering how many memes there were, how many songs were streamed from the movies, and how it affected the entire internet algorithm, I feel like it deserved a little more recognition than what it got, and it's almost embarrassing that it didn't. To follow that, we have how Studio Ghibli beat out Disney. Now, this is a huge feat. Disney owns just about everything, and they dominate the animation business, owning Pixar, Blue Sky, as well as a few other animation studios aside from DreamWorks. So for Studio Ghibli to pull ahead and out on top is incredible. They have a Japanese art style that's truly beautiful and magical, and it's been flying under the radar for years, considering they haven't released a new full-length movie in years as well, and they haven't made such a huge theater debut in decades. So for them to not only win, but beat out Disney Pixar's Elements and Disney's Wish, as well as Into the Spider-Verse, because Sony is also owned by Disney, while it's incredible that they won, the Disney name has to feel some embarrassment considering they had 3 movies in the running and still lost. Next up, we have how Killers of the Moonflower was also widely ignored. Now, this was predicted by a lot of avid movie watchers considering the nature of the film compared to everything else that was released this year. They received 7 nominations over many categories, but only won a single award. And it wasn't for the movie itself, but rather Lily Gladstone's portrayal of her character in the movie. So there has to be some embarrassment there. The fact that they lost on every front except hers. They say you can't win them all, but they didn't win any for the movie itself. But it did have a more serious subject matter compared to some of the other winners, and it wasn't received as well in theaters nor streaming services, considering it was a Paramount and Apple TV original. They were beaten out by mostly Oppenheimer, which makes sense overall, but it's still unfortunate for the movie cast and crew. Overall, fans may have enjoyed it, but like many other things, the Academy did not care for it. Second to last, we have how Timothée Chalamet was there for 1 category. Not only was he there for his role in Wonka, and was only nominated for 2 categories technically, both based on his character, but he lost in both categories as well. He and Kylie walked in there like they were big shot talk of the town just for him to lose. The least they could have done was be there on time to create less of a spectacle for themselves, since he seemed very confident he had the win. That's what happens when you get too full of yourself and your acting skills. You lose in front of your girlfriend, and the embarrassment from that was enough to take him down a notch. And last but not least, we have how the entire thing was described as lame and chaotic. Between Jo Koy's secondhand embarrassing monologue, which caused even Selena Gomez to bow and shake her head, to the lack of excitement from many attendees, it was described as rushed and unpolished, like he could have used some refining before he went on stage. People even described this year's Golden Globes overall as forgettable, and it was just a blur of talking heads and jokes that fell flat. At least this year, the champagne wasn't lukewarm like Jennifer Lawrence predicted. Out of the 81 Golden Globes, this one was ranked at a level D of entertaining. It's embarrassing for the Academy, I suppose.
The Golden Globes, filled with celebrities and of course, drama. Jo Koy was the host for this year's event, and the majority of the public seemed to have quite the opinion. So what roast occurred that night? Seems like there may be bad blood after Jo Koy made a joke about Taylor Swift herself at the Golden Globes. Not just about Taylor, oh no, but her relationship with Travis Kelce, which we all know was a huge conversation as the media went crazy. So what did Joe even say? His joke was that the big difference between the Golden Globes and the NFL, on the Golden Globes we have fewer camera shots of Taylor Swift, and when the camera panned over to Taylor, she maintained a neutral face before taking a sip of her drink and keeping her eyes forward. Take a look for yourself. First of all, couldn't help but notice how stunning she looks in her green sparkly dress, and second of all, I do think she handled this roast quite well because it just appears she brushed it off, even though it was an obvious dig at her relationship. And Joe Coy actually responded to those images of Taylor's reaction. When he spoke to Entertainment Tonight, he described her reaction as cute and then added, "I was just saying it's less cutaways, that's all." And it seems like the public has mixed reactions, with some thinking Joe went too far and others feeling sympathy for him as they acknowledge hosting these events aren't easy, as you are meant to take digs at the audience. Plus, he didn't write all the jokes himself, but was the one presenting them. Do you think his roast against Taylor was too far or not at all? Hello, love. Sorry for the bad British accent, but I'm trying to transition into the topic of the royal family because at events like the Golden Globes, they are roasted. More specifically, it was about Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. Joe said, "It turns out Harry and Meghan Markle were still getting paid millions of dollars for doing absolutely nothing, and that's just by Netflix." I honestly am curious about what your thoughts on this joke were, because some called it brutal and others aren't even focusing on this one compared to his other jokes. But anyways, one user even shared their thoughts as they wrote, "So no one told Joe Coy that practically the entire cast of Suits is there in the audience of the Golden Globes, and so he went on ahead with that Prince Harry and Meghan Markle joke." The couple was not in attendance at the Golden Globes, so unfortunately we weren't able to get their live reaction. And of course, it couldn't be the 2024 Golden Globes without any reference to the blonde plastic doll. Yup, not even Barbie was safe from the roast. One reference that seemed to have the public less than impressed was when Joe Coy expressed how Oppenheimer was based on a 721-page prize-winning book on the Manhattan Project, while Barbie was based on a plastic doll with breasts. But he didn't stop there, because he also added, "The key moment in Barbie is when she goes from a perfect beauty to a bad breath, cellulite, and flat feet, or what casting directors call character act." Many reacted obviously unhappy, especially because the whole point of the Barbie movie was to fight concepts like this. The Golden Globes cameras were also working hard because it captured Ryan Gosling's less than impressed facial expressions and of course, Greta Gerwig's as well. Even Selena Gomez is seen in the audience putting her head down because yikes. And many even said Joe's joke was insane, especially because the whole Barbie movie talks about how hard it is to be a woman in a man's world. Plus, Joe even added that it was weird to be attracted to a plastic doll while watching the Margot Robbie-led movie. And a lot of people, from what I've seen, have shared their opinions and believe Joe's joke about Barbie was misogynistic and the worst joke he made all night. I don't know if you noticed, but recently a ton of celebrities have been rumored to be using Ozempic, which is a medication not meant for weight loss, but many have been using it for that reason. Elon Musk, Amy Schumer, and Sharon Osbourne are just a few who have admitted to using it. Well, Joe actually mentions Ozempic while making a joke about the color purple, which was one of the top titles of the night. His joke was that the color purple is what happens to your butt when you take Ozempic, and many didn't like this joke as it simply wasn't funny to them, and to be honest, I had to read a whole Reddit thread explaining this joke because I was a little confused and it didn't really help much. But the topic of Ozempic has been circulating all over social media after many celebrities allegedly lost a ton of weight by using it. So Joe was kind of bold with this one. He was also not afraid to roast directors as well. In fact, he roasted Martin Scorsese, who was the director of Killers of the Flower Moon. And that film was a Western drama which starred Leonardo DiCaprio, Lily Gladstone, and even Robert De Niro. But Joe's roast goes quite deep as it does not only talk about the director and the meaning of the film, well, at least to him, but also a whole race. Joe begins by saying white people stole everything and then also added, not like 97%, you guys stole 100% of everything. You took the land, you took the oil, you took the premise of the movie. And when Joe noticed a mixed reaction from the audience, he decided to continue and say, What, that was your premise? That's hilarious, I don't care, it's just that the room is really white. So many celebrities at the Golden Globes went all out, and I couldn't help but to love Margot Robbie's perfect Barbie outfit, and she even changed into a black version of her dress for the Golden Globes after party, which was a perfect Barbie to Oppenheimer transition moment. Plus, Heidi Klum wore a stunning gown, and Dua Lipa was wearing a black mermaid dress. But it was Jason Sudeikis who stuck out after many people began to notice his choice of shoes. No, it was not red bottom heels, but he wore sneakers to the Golden Globes. He was also wearing a t-shirt which fans fans couldn't help but to roast him for. The Ted Lasso star doesn't actually appear at award ceremonies often, so when we finally see him, he is wearing quite the opposite of others. Some called him dressed like a 9th grade English teacher, and others actually seemed to like his outfit, particularly for his shoes. He was wearing colorful sneakers, and some either hated it or loved it, but this wasn't the first time his outfit has gotten attention from the media. For the 2021 Golden Globes, he was seen wearing a tie-dye pastel hoodie, but it was over a webcam, and he actually talked about why he wore a hoodie. It was because it would be weird for him to wear a suit as a top and something comfy for his bottom, so he decided just to be comfy. To be fair, this one has been debated about the authenticity of the story, but it did make headlines, so we're going to include it anyways. And those involved also got roasted all over the internet. There was a moment where the camera shows Selena Gomez, Kylie Sperry, and Taylor Swift seemingly gossiping as they were all close in a circle, and the public began to try to figure out what these girls were saying, and all they could go on was the clip itself, plus trying to read their lips. And that's when somehow people began to say Selena was gossiping about an interaction she had with Kylie Jenner and Timothée Chalamet. According to the internet, Selena asked Timothy to take a photo with her, who she's been friends with and done projects with in the past, but that's when Kylie allegedly stepped in and said no. And the internet always goes crazy, especially when it comes to drama, and this story made headlines and made me feel like I was getting flashbacks from Selena and Hailey's drama from last year. But a source spoke to people and claimed Selena didn't even interact with these two all night. Plus, some fans noticed that too and began to share the possibility of this really happening, and not a single video or photo was taken of Selena talking to Timothy and Kylie, which many thought would have at least been captured somewhere. I honestly agree with those saying if it did happen, it would have been filmed or something, but do you agree or disagree? Remember when everyone felt bad for Leonardo DiCaprio for always being nominated but not winning? Because it looks like Joe spotted a new Leo. Well, sort of. One of the jokes he made was about Kieran Culkin and poked fun at how he's been nominated 4 times but finally won. Then he also said, "Suck it, Pedro, it's mine." And when the cameras panned over to Pascal, you could see him laughing, then suddenly bursting into tears, which were fake. At least I hope. And this was because The Last of Us, which is a show based on a video game, was nominated for 3 awards at the ceremony, but unfortunately didn't win any. I remember all the hype for The Last of Us when it first came out. Everyone was watching it, talking about it, but I only personally seen clips here and there. And because it's based on a video game, I'm curious to know if any of you who have played it or watched it and your thoughts on it. I think someone forgot to tell Timothée Chalamet and Kylie Jenner that commercial breaks many see on TV is only on TV. And when those who watch the Golden Globes on their website, there was no commercial breaks at all, and instead was literally a camera on the two of them just interacting, and that included the two kissing and being all touchy. Plus, that wasn't all, because many speculated that you could see Kylie saying "I love you" to Timothy, and this caused it to circulate all over social media. And obviously the public shared their opinions on this, with many sharing how their heart is so full and happy, but on the other hand, others are saying it's cringy. And in the video footage, you're able to see Kylie touching his necklace and looking at it, while the two seem to be having a conversation with a few kisses every few seconds. Personally, this is a relationship I never thought would ever exist, especially because they appear to be quite opposites, but I guess they both see something in each other, who knows. Do you like Kylie and Timothy together, or do you prefer her with Travis, or literally anyone else? And Timothy, I knew he dated Lily Rose Depp, but that's about my extent of my knowledge with his romantic interests. And of course, how could we forget who got roasted arguably the most all night? Joe Coy himself seemed to be in the middle of the fire, as his jokes caused a huge reaction from many. None of the celebrity guests in attendance were safe from Joe's roast, and Joe was not safe from the public. In fact, he actually responded after so many people seemed disappointed in his jokes. Joe said, "Some I wrote, some others wrote. Yes, I got the gig 10 days ago. Shut up, you're kidding me, right? Slow down, I wrote some of these and they are the ones you're laughing at." And his response was also mixed, as many believed he was just putting blame on some of the flat jokes on others, but at the same time could be the truth, who knows. He also did address the comments about Taylor Swift, which he admitted fell flat, and of course admitted his backlash he's been receiving does hurt, but it was a moment he would remember forever. Mixed reviews of Joe. What did you think about his hosting job? Award shows are always exciting to see who wins each category, but it is never really drama free. Did you watch the Golden Globes, and did you disagree or or agree with the winners.
Number 10, Russell Brand. The comedian turned actor Russell Brand may be best known for roles like Aldous Snow and Get Him to the Greek and Forgetting Sarah Marshall, or maybe for his musical chops with his real fake band Infant Sorrow. But what many people may not know about the Brand Man is that awards shows have always been his guilty pleasure. Russell was a regular audience member, and eventually he was asked to attend as a full-fledged host for MTV's VMAs. The hosting gig has been debated by fans as both being great for his career and a career ender. He decided to take time away from the artists and joke about the American president at the time, Barack Obama, and former president George W. Bush. He said a lot of stuff that I can't repeat on the internet, literally calling Barack Obama another word for mentally challenged, and another one that means cat. Following his time as host, MTV decided that he was not the best fit for their program. The VMAs are supposed to be a fun night celebrating talented artists around the world, and instead, Russell turned it into a political stand-up routine. Considering he's not allowed back to the MTV Awards and, all the dark stuff that's come out about him this year, go check stuff out about that, he is not allowed at any awards shows ever again. Number 9, Amber Heard. Amber Heard is back to work after having her career put on hold while she participated in one of the most televised and highly debated celebrity court cases in history. Johnny Depp and Amber Heard got into a deep court battle over an op-ed she released back in 2016, in which she claimed that Johnny was a tyrant who was physically and emotionally damaging towards her during their relationship. Johnny won the trial, and both himself and Amber were good to get back to work. Johnny has been working on some more dramatic pieces and spending time on his music. Meanwhile, Amber got back into the saddle and started to film her latest project, In the Fire, which, surprise, she also produced. While the movie does exist, it's nowhere near the level it needs to be in order to get any nominations. There have been a ton of incredible movies and TV shows to come out of this year that do deserve nominations and wins. Her movie is not one of them, and so far she has not been invited to the ceremony. Number 8, Ellen DeGeneres. Now, before she was outed as the manager of a toxic work environment, she was actually a very well-respected TV host and celebrity. In 2014, she used her power to get a bunch of actors together for a selfie. The selfie featured the faces of Meryl Streep, Channing Tatum, Julia Roberts, Jennifer Lawrence, Bradley Cooper, Brad Pitt, Lupita Nyong'o, Peter Nyong'o, Angelina Jolie, Jared Leto, and one man whose name I'm not allowed to say because it'll get us demonetized, so let's call him the Spaceman. So many celebrities got together and the photo went viral overnight, but as I said, Ellen and her influence were a ticking clock heading for doomsday. Eventually, former employees got together to release statements claiming that they were subjected to rude behavior and just straight up bullying from both Ellen herself and several high-ranking executives. As this information was released, her show got canceled along with her career, and being a former TV host would usually mean that you're on track to host the Oscars or Golden Globes or any one of these events, but it's looking like she may not be invited to any awards shows anytime soon, especially not the Golden Globes. If Ellen ever wants to host a show for her own again, it'll have to be a self-tape docu-series that she sells as physical DVDs in a strip mall. Remember DVDs? I say that like they no longer exist in Walmarts. Number 7, Faye Dunaway and Warren Beatty. This is one of the few live TV fumbles that I actually got to see happen live, and I was just as confused as the rest of the world, I'm sure. In 2017, at the Oscars ceremony, Warren and Faye appeared on stage to present the award for Best Film. They opened an envelope and read the name out loud. At first, Faye was a little confused because it was later revealed that the envelope said Emma Stone La La Land, as she was accidentally handed a copy of the winner's name for Best Actress in a Leading Role. Because it said La La Land, she confidently told the audience that La La Land had won the Oscar. As the crew from the project flooded the stage, Warren and Faye continued to look a little confused until the stage is just overflowing with excited people ready to accept their Oscars. However, a moment later, the director of the film, Damien Chazelle, saw the envelope and addressed the audience. A mistake had been made and they did not win. A stagehand ran to the crew, handing them the real winner's name, Moonlight. Moonlight had won Best Picture that year, not La La Land. There was a moment of people thinking that this is some kind of a joke, but they were being very sincere. The best part of this moment is Ryan Gosling, the lead of the movie and nominee for Best Actor, trying to contain his laughter. He wasn't even upset. It was more like a, you gotta be kidding me. Something tells me that Faye and Warren will not be asked to present another award at any show for the foreseeable future. Number 6, John Travolta. A little while back in 2014, John Travolta flubbed the name of one of the most famous women in musical theater history. At the Oscars that year, he was supposed to introduce Idina Menzel ahead of her performance of Let It Go, cause in case you didn't know, she's Elsa. She was also Elphaba in the musical Wicked and a ton of other shows as well, but for this event she was promoting the film and showcasing a piece of music that became one of the most popular songs for the next 3 years. He was so confident in his delivery, he introduced the audience to the wickedly talented, the one and only Adele Dazeem. The moment spawned some parody Twitter accounts and even an Adele Dazeem random name generator that turned Jared Leto into Jed Lopez and Matthew McConaughey into Michael Mausolean. The following year, the two appeared on stage together where Adina decided to drop a little revenge. She was set to introduce the next round of nominees, and as a little joke, the Oscars executives decided to invite John Travolta back to team up with Adele. She introduced him by his new name, Glom Gazingo. The interaction between them seemed a bit forced, but it was nice that they played the entire thing off as funny rather than an actual incident. Since then, John is to triple check things before he presents at any award shows, but for all we know, he's just stopped being invited to them altogether. Number 5, Kanye West. There are so many reasons that this man is banned from ever attending another VMA, a Golden Globe, an Oscar ceremony, anything in his entire life. We can chalk it up to him literally being a cuckoo. After all, he was fired from basically every single company that he worked for after posting some pretty bad tweets that I can't get into at this time. But the reality is that Kanye was banned in the mid-2010s following several public mishaps as well as one on stage that is still talked about to this day. An incident took place in 2009 at the VMAs when Taylor Swift attempted to accept her award for Best Female Artist of the Year. Kanye stormed the stage and took the microphone from her hands. He then told her that he was gonna let her finish, but he wanted to tell everyone that Beyonce had one of the best videos of all time. Taylor still jokes about that incident to this day. While she was in Mexico City during her Eras tour this year, she took the stage to play her piano when the crowd started chanting her name. She said that having someone interrupt you by chanting your name is the best way to be interrupted, and she should know. Kanye was issued a ban from the following year of the VMAs and has since received a lifetime ban from both MTV and has been blacklisted from most other award shows indefinitely. Number 4, Kevin Hart. Kevin was set to host the Oscars back in 2019, but he was fired last minute after a stand-up bit and a series of tweets resurfaced that painted him as anti-LGBTQ+. In 2009, Kevin sent out a series of tweets that contained jokes about his feelings should his son potentially come out in the future, making a comment that he would break a dollhouse over his head if he saw him playing with it. He said some harsher stuff that really should not be repeated, and I'm not gonna, but I can understand why a lot of people found these comments pretty rude and damaging, cause they were! At the time, the comments didn't go unnoticed, but they just kind of flew under the radar a little bit in terms of media coverage. He then repeated these jokes on stage in his seriously funny stand-up special. There were also a few homophobic jokes written into the script of the film Get Hard, which I have seen, and I gotta agree, it's a little bit too much. In 2015, when asked about the tweets, he told people that he would not repeat the jokes that he made today, but the only reason was that the times were getting too sensitive. When he was announced as a host in 2018, the internet collectively put a case together as to why he should not be the host. The Oscars were forced to fire him in the role of the host due to the alarming numbers of hate mail that they were receiving on a daily basis. Before they actually let him go, they did give him an option to either apologize and own up, or just to be let go. Hart released an Instagram video where he decided to pass on an apology because he had already addressed the issue several times and acknowledged the rights and wrongs of the incident. The statement only led to more online outrage and sparked a massive debate. But the next day, he released a separate statement apologizing for his actions and words, and especially to the community that he insulted. Although he apologized and things seem to get better now, he is not asked to do any gig like that ever again. Number 3, Roberto Benigni. In 1998, after being announced as the winner of the Oscar for Best Foreign Language Film and a ton of other Oscars that night, Roberto was stoked. So stoked that he forgot where he was for a second. He leaped to his feet and stood on the back of the seat in front of him, literally using a man's head to keep himself balanced. He proceeded to walk over a few people before jumping back into the aisle and running up to accept his award as normal. The moment was not seen as some crazy act, as this was a night that Roberto and Italy as a whole were honored with the film Life is Beautiful, receiving over 20 nominations and winning 10 of them. Roberto's excitement did cause the Academy and a few other awards shows to update their policies. No parkour during the ceremony, folks. Number Number 2. Britney Spears. Britney Spears was finally released from her conservatorship in 2021 and has since been on a new journey of self-realization and expression. In the past year or two, Britney has been involved with a ton of TV moments, usually interviews, but she recently released a memoir detailing her experiences. She revealed a ton of juicy information about herself and her family, but we've already done dedicated videos on that, so if you're curious, just, go back and check them out. As we are all aware, Hollywood loves to take books, whether they're fiction or non-fiction, as long as it's a good story, they're gonna use it. Well, Britney's memoir might be one of those books, but considering her behavior on TikTok in the past few months, something tells me that's probably not gonna happen anytime soon. For those of you who don't know, a series of videos were posted to Britney's TikTok where she seems to be dancing with some stabby jabby things and told everyone that they were fake. Fake or real? Someone needs to check on Britney, because no one's letting her any award shows anytime soon with that attitude. And at number 1, Will Smith. Will Smith is banned from every single awards show from now until the end of time. If you don't know why, you have been living under a rock for the last 2 years, say hi to Patrick for me.
I'm so sorry, but we have to start with the slap. If you've been living under a rock for the past couple of years, you probably didn't know that Will Smith got up on that Oscar stage in 2022 to slap Chris Rock. When I say this moment was iconic, it really was, with the impact the slap had on the world and on Chris Rock's face / ego probably. But in order to discuss this, we have to rewind a bit. Like, why did Will do all that on live national television nonetheless? Well, Chris was presenting the Best Documentary Award that evening, and as a comedian, he couldn't do it without a few jokes. One of them being calling out Jada Pinkett Smith for her shaved head. Jada, who had alopecia, did not find the joke funny at all, and neither did Will, obviously. He didn't let the disrespect go and did what he had to do, but not without reminding him to keep his wife's name out of Chris's mouth. What makes this wilder was Will going back on stage 10 minutes later for winning his first ever Oscar award for Best Actor. Don't worry, he apologized to Chris and the Academy, and even though he received a 10-year ban from the show, Will is still an icon. Next up is the time Jay-Z called out the Grammys. During this year's Grammys, Jay-Z won the Dr. Dre Global Impact Award and took it as an opportunity to call out the Recording Academy for failing Beyoncé, his wife. The list of Album of the Year nominees did not include Beyoncé and her phenomenal Renaissance album. I don't even listen to the album, and I'm surprised Beyoncé wasn't nominated either. Anyways, Jay-Z acknowledged the fact that nominations are purely subjective, and he doesn't mean to embarrass Taylor Swift, who won this year. But Beyoncé broke the record of winning most Grammys at 32 wins to date. And the fact that she hasn't even won Album of the Year yet, which is the highest coveted award of the show, is wild. And his speech did not stop there. He said, "Some of you gonna go home tonight feeling like you've been robbed. Some of you don't belong in the category," which was definitely a type of diss to other nominees, but yeah, he really went there. He clarified he was nervous, but said when he's nervous, he speaks the truth, so he said what he said and he's not taking it back. Coming up next is Lady Gaga's meat dress. The meat dress was definitely one for the times. During the 2010 VMAs, Lady Gaga was already a household name with an interesting reputation among the media and her fans. So her accepting the award for Best Video in an outfit made of entirely real red meat should not be too surprising. But it was, because back then, the wild and bold was still something the world feared. She had the meat dress, the meat hat, meat shoes, and finished off the look with a meat clutch. She confused the media and angered a lot of vegetarians and vegans for that one, and many hoped it wasn't actual meat, but they were greatly disappointed. I can only imagine the odor through that night. And the reaction among celebrities was priceless. Even today, she has zero regrets about it. She remembered the smell and thought it was so thrilling to wear. The whole point of the outfit was to go against boundaries and make a lasting impression, and I can confidently say that she and her stylist did just that. Since 14 years later, we're still talking about it today. Coming up next, John Travolta can't read. Okay, picture this. It's the year 2014 and Frozen is literally the biggest grossing movie right now. It was nominated and won 2 Oscars that year as was expected. But this is where John Travolta comes in, as he was the one to present Idina Menzel's live performance of Let It Go. Now, instead of saying her name, he completely butchered it and called her Adele Dazeem, which is nowhere close to being right. All he had to do was read from a screen. How could he mess that up? But low-key, I don't blame him. You'd think reading off a teleprompter would mean no mistakes, obvious, right? Anyways, his little fumble was all anyone could ever talk about. He later shared that at the time he had just finished talking to Hollywood icon Goldie Hawn, so maybe he was still not very present when he got on stage. He even sent Idina flowers as an apology. Thankfully, she wasn't ever offended in the slightest and even got her revenge the following year, calling him Glom Gazingo. This year marks the 10th anniversary of John Travolta's mistake, and to celebrate, Idina posted a TikTok wishing Adele Dazeem a happy 10th birthday. Coming up next is the time Jodie Foster came out of the closet. For her Golden Globes acceptance speech in 2013, people thought she finally came out after years of speculation. She didn't really, nor did she explicitly state what was already common knowledge at the time, because by then people already knew / had an idea she liked women. But it was the first time she did kind of address it in public. This brought on the discussion of celebrities' relationship with the media and society as a whole. She said that she already had the coming out spiel years ago with only trusted family and friends, but with fame, it seems like all of your personal details need to be announced to the world, like at a press conference. This was her way of saying that she's not gonna state the obvious to the world like it's their given right, nor does she need to. She also made a joke about how her life is not a reality show, and if it was, it would be extremely boring. She sparked ongoing conversation about celebrities and their rights to privacy, which is super ironic for me to even talk about. Next up is Jo Koy's jokes. Comedian Jo Koy did not win the crowd over after his hosting gig at the Golden Globes a couple of months ago. During his monologue, he decided to take a stab at the whole Taylor Swift and NFL thing, saying that the difference between the Golden Globes and the NFL was that they have fewer shots of the singer. This was referencing the time the NFL was constantly putting Taylor on their Jumbotron and promoting her and Travis Kelce's relationship. Now, let me just say, this wasn't the most heinous joke in the world, but it also wasn't funny at all. Taylor's fans definitely felt disrespected by it with the way they took to Twitter to express their distaste for him and his hosting. He later shared that the joke wasn't meant to offend her in any way because it was just a dumb little joke. He said that he's also a fan of hers as he helped his nieces get tickets for her sold-out Eras tour. His other joke about the Barbie movie was one that most people had an issue with. He reduced the film to just being about a plastic doll with a big chest size, if you know what I mean. However, according to director Greta Gerwig, he was absolutely right in a sense, but that did not stop people from calling him out. I mean, with these types of gigs, you win some, you lose some. Maybe he'll get another chance to host another award show. Next up is getting arrested at the Grammys. The Grammys this year was kinda wild, at least for artist Michael Santiago Render, whose stage name I'm probably not allowed to say against video guidelines. Anyways, during the Grammys pre-televised event, he won not just one, not two, but 3 Grammys. He won Best Rap Song, Best Rap Performance, and Best Rap Album. But what was supposed to be an incredible and eventful evening turned sideways real fast when he was escorted out of the venue in handcuffs. Witnesses were super confused because he didn't do anything wrong. There were even rumors that he resisted and had to be carried out, which were all untrue. Mind you, this all happened right after he won his awards and got his trophies. The police really had to go in there and ruin his moment, didn't they? One of his representatives clarified that he was arrested as a result of a misdemeanor, one that was unrelated to his music or the Grammys. Later, he was asked about it and only said that nothing bad happened and that's just life. In his words, "But we winners, that's it, we hit a speed bump and then we hit back to the party." And honestly, that's a great life motto if I've ever seen one. Coming up next is Rachel Zegler's Oscar debut. In 2022, Steven Spielberg's West Side Story was nominated for 7 Oscar awards. So you'd think that would mean the leading star, aka Rachel Zegler, who took on the iconic role of Maria, would be invited, right? Unfortunately, no. Fans assumed she would be attending because duh, but after one fan asked her what she'd be wearing, she said she'd be wearing her sweatpants and her boyfriend's flannel because she wasn't invited. This caused an uproar among her fan base because what do you mean she wasn't invited? It had absolutely nothing to do with the fact that she is a fresh face in Hollywood, but if a Steven Spielberg movie was nominated for that many awards, it only makes sense that she attends. She clarified that she tried everything she could but was unable to get a ticket. She did say that she's very proud of the film and will be cheering them on from the comfort of her room. And while she was able to accept it, the fans refused to because she did end up showing up, not as a guest, but as a presenter, which is honestly better than nothing. It's unclear if her invitation was caused by the fans' commotion or just a production miracle, but the important thing is she got to go. Next up is announcing the wrong winner. If you thought Will Smith slapping Chris Rock in front of hundreds of people was awkward, then let me remind you of the time the wrong movie was presented for winning Best Picture. Hollywood actors Faye Dunaway and Warren Beatty were given the responsibility to announce the winners, but as a result of holding the wrong envelope meant the most awkward Oscar fumble in the history of awkward Oscar fumbles. After La La Land was announced, there was the celebratory period among the cast and crew, and it would have been a beautiful and well-deserved moment had they actually been the winners. I feel so bad watching it back because they were in the middle of doing their acceptance speeches when it was revealed that they did not in fact win. The real win was actually the iconic film Moonlight. So what happened was, Warren Beatty received the wrong envelope, and if you look back, you can tell he was really confused when he read it, only for Faye Dunaway to announce La La Land for him. The envelope had Emma Stone's name from her win earlier that night. I'm sure whoever handed the wrong envelope felt so bad after this, but at least they made history. And what better way to finish off this list but with another awkward awards show win? Yeah, I'm talking about the time Kanye West started his never-ending beef with Taylor Swift. In 2009, Taylor Swift was up on stage about to give her speech after winning Best Video for Female Artist. But then Kanye came out of nowhere to deliver his message of objection and also the iconic "I'ma let you finish" but line that still gets referenced to this day. Anyways, he just wanted the whole world to know that it should have been Beyonce to win with her hit song Single Ladies. Even with the mixed cheers and booing, you could tell that Taylor was super uncomfortable. Like, he literally ruined a huge moment for her just to make it about himself. It's actually quite interesting that someone had to point out Beyonce deserved to win instead of Taylor twice throughout Taylor's career, but Kanye went about it in the most inappropriate way. Taylor wasn't even done with her speech before Kanye came on stage, and a lot of fans were furious as to why they just let him go on stage like that, calling the VMAs out for their unprofessionalism. If only they knew what would become of Kanye and Taylor after this, as it sparked the tension between both artists even today.